Hello, I'm Scotty, the rocker engineer. This is the fifth episode of my channel. Welcome everybody. If you saw the previous episodes, I'm glad you tuned in again. However, if you are here for the first time, I suggest you to watch the first episode as well to have a full picture what this channel is all about. In the previous episode, I took a 950-ish mile road trip with my EV, which is a Polestar 2 pre-facelift long-range single motor, and at the end I compared my charging cost with the cost would have been with a diesel like my Red Gorgeous, using HMRC advisory fuel rate of 13p per mile for the same journey. The numbers were devastating. Wait for it. For the diesel, I spent less than £50, but with the diesel it would have costed me more than 120. Yes, I benefited from the free overnight charging offer called Wheel Deal at the hotel when I stayed for 2 nights. Now I set off for another around 580 miles long trip, and this time there will be no free charging available on the road. I will go up to Teesside to see a customer, and on my way back home I will visit another one. At the end, of course, I will do similar comparison than last time, and we will see what the numbers will show. The race is on between the EV and diesel. So buckle up, cross your fingers for your favorite, and enjoy the journey. Here is my journey on the map. The first leg from home to the hotel where I will stay is about 270 miles long. I hope I will be able to make it without charging on the road, but I'm not fully confident. You might remember in episode 4, on the first leg I achieved an average with which I could drive around 290 miles with a full charge. However, on the second day, the same figure was closer to 270. So it might will be a close call, and I will need to hold my nerves to keep pushing. The next morning, I will visit a customer close to the hotel I will stay, and on my way back home, I see another one. Even if I charge my car to 100% at the hotel, I will need to recharge on my way back home, which again I will combine with my lunch break to use my time wisely. I've been on the road for a while. I'm over the Dartford crossing misery, and now the traffic is fine. It's pretty hot out there, so I'm on aircon, which is supposed to have negative effect on the consumption. Now I'm nearing to 90% state of charge, so let's see what the figures are. I'm at 90% now, so the reading is 24.8 miles since I've left. Well, it suggests I will need to charge to reach my hotel, but let's keep an eye on it. Might will improve. Okay, I'm on the M11 now. The traffic is still fine, getting close to 75% state of charge, so I will see how many miles I did consuming the quarter of my battery capacity. Here we go, 75%, and the reading is 71.6 miles driven. Multiplied by 4 is 286.4 miles, which is around 10 miles more than the total distance I wanted to drive today. So maybe I will make it to the hotel without charging stop. I've been on the road for almost 3 hours now. No drama whatsoever. Almost down to half of my battery, so let's see. 50% and 142.2 miles driven. So technically, I'm fine. I will reach the hotel. I'm sure it will be below 10%. Well, actually, I've never seen single-digit state of charge in this car, but hey, there's always a first time, right? Now I've driven almost 200 miles in one go. I think it's time to have a bite. And my satnav suggests some roadwork misery as well coming soon, so I will stop here. Okay, here we are. A quick check. After 197 miles, I still have a third of the battery. My average consumption improved, no doubt about that, But of course, A1M isn't a real motorway, busier as well as the M11 was. My average consumption was promising when I checked at lunch, but let's see what the 25% state of charge reading shows. You know, near battery range journeys are still kinda new to me. Need to build my confidence in the car as well. Now, I could have stopped to eat somewhere else, where I could add some charge as well, but it is an interesting experience to me as it is. Also, the more often I add some charge just for the sake of it, the more risky to end up with higher overall cost, not to mention more painful expense report creation with lot of receipts. We have long family journeys planned in the future as well, so there will I do a different charging pattern, of course. 25%, here we go. 217.8 miles driven. So I should divide it by 3 and multiply it by 4 to have my full battery range prediction today. But it is just above 72.5 times 4, which is 290 miles full battery range today again. That is pretty. Now I'm almost down to 10% and I still have close to 20 miles to drive. The car says I still have 30 miles worth of range, but it always underestimates the leftover miles, so I'm a bit confused. Also, with my diesel, when it says, let's say, 50 miles to empty, that last 50 miles prediction melts down quicker than the miles I actually do in the meantime. Anyway, let's see the computer. You see miles to empty prediction on the right bottom corner says 30. I drove 261.7 miles from home, which is really pretty close to 30 miles for 10% battery range. Cool! Here I am. I made it to the hotel without charging stop on the road. And you see, wait for it. Ta-dam! There are the chargers. And there are availability as well. So by tomorrow morning, I will have a full battery again. Okay, I arrived with 8% battery state of charge, and these are the final figures for today's drive. Total 273.8 miles driven, consumed 92%, which is roughly 300 miles range. I'm okay with that. This is the second morning. Look at the predicted range. Wow! I'm finished with my first meeting and I'm heading to the second one. It will be a bit of a drive, a bit above 100 miles. Traffic is fine, but yeah, there will be my favorite roadwork from last week's episode, but it looks I'll be there on time. State of charge, so it's time to see some figures. 90%, and the computer says I did 23.4 miles this morning. It's not extremely lot, let's be honest, but I've noticed that when the battery state of charge is above 90% or even close to 100, when I'm braking, the amount of charge back to the battery is lower. Still on the road to my second meeting, but it's time to check a quarter of a tank consumption. 75% left, 65.9 miles driven. Multiplied by 4 is just above 260 miles full battery range. Well, it's better now, anyway. Since the previous check-in, I had my second meeting. I arrived there some 56% battery, and now I'm getting to the 50% mark. So let's see what my total range prediction looks like now. Right, 50%, 141.2 miles driven. So the full battery should be good for a bit more than 282 miles. It's getting better and better, and I'm using aircon properly. Yes, I'm on the sleep road to my favorite food place. This time, my state of charge lower than last week, so I will need a bit longer charging, around 10 minutes from 22 to 45%. So unlike last week, I won't sit in the car while charging, but plug it in, go and get my food, come back, move the car from the charger, and eat. Sounds like plan, right? So the plan worked perfectly. I had my lunch. I'm back on the road on the last stretch to home. I charged my car to 45% and now I'm at 35. The left column shows 25.2 miles driven from the charger. It's way better than last week after the half an hour charging, but now there was only 10 minutes fast charge and the car was sitting without charging while I ate my lunch. So probably the battery didn't get as hot as last week and could cool naturally rather than using high-powered cooling. Here is my Excel chart where I record my long journeys. Those who saw episode 4 part 2 can remember. So I left home with a highlighted auto reading fully charged. I arrived to the hotel with 8% state of charge and my car charged up overnight with 72.71 kilowatt hour, which cost me 16.74. On my way back home, I stopped for a lunch and recharged my car from 22 to 45% with 16.83 kilowatt hour for 12.62. I arrived home after the total 572 miles with 13% state of charge, and I put 71.25 kilowatt hour at home during the night into the car. This is a calculated amount as I explained last time. As a real-world person, I didn't plug in my car immediately and also had some further use of the car before I put it on charge. Also, I've got only 7 hours night time tariff, which isn't long enough to fully recharge the car, but I didn't need a full charge car my next day driving anyway. Here is the equation I used to calculate my home charging amount. 78 kWh is my full battery capacity multiplied with 0.87, which is 87% top up, and multiplied with 1.05 to consider some charging losses. As I mentioned in episode 4, it is a bit overestimated anyway. My total cost was 34.13 with my EV, as opposed to a diesel cost based on HMRC advisory fuel rate of 13p per mile, which would be 74.36. So I saved again a bit more than £40. Actually, my real cost was less than a half than it would be with a diesel. So far, after 3 journeys using public chargers heavily, the total of 2000 miles, I saved the half of the cost with my EV. Of course, I did many more miles during this period, but for those I didn't need it to use public charger at all. I will make a full balance maybe after 6 months without my Red Gorgeous later on. On this chart, I only record those occasions when, according to the stereotype at least, the EV is supposed to be less economical and more time consuming than an ICE car. It's interesting, isn't it? Even without free overnight charging, the EV was considerably cheaper on this road. As I said, it was filmed probably on the hottest day in August, and I used aircon all the time, which has some minor impact on the consumption, but no drama at all. So the race is on. I have many long trips planned for this winter, including a long family trip as well. So I'm getting more and more curious where this story will land. Next week, however, we change the subject. As I mentioned in the first episode, I'm about to start a heat pump project. So, I will walk you through a simple business case creation or project evaluation, which you can do for yourself to see if this is something for you to go for. And I will add some additional points to the subject. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Check out my first episode if you haven't done yet, or really any other episodes. And I hope to see you next week. Until then, have a great time.